Jaylen Brown the Celtics' best player? As we head into Game 2 of the NBA Finals, there are a ton of storylines. But one of the storylines that is getting talked about a lot is the Jason Kidd quote about Jaylen Brown. And so now there's a whole debate going around. Is Jaylen Brown the best player in the Celtics over Jason Tatum? Before I get into right now, I will say something that I thought, and I feel like a lot of people thought, maybe like 2 years ago, for example, when they were in the NBA Finals. In 2022, people thought Jason Tatum was the best player, and it wasn't really an argument for the most part. But what I felt, and what a lot of people felt, was Jaylen Brown was their most dangerous player. Like, if you were a Golden State fan watching that Finals, you were more scared of what Jaylen Brown was going to do. Like, when, we're not talking about the turnovers and all those things. But when Jaylen Brown was hitting his shots, on fire, confident, it felt like the momentum shifted more in that Finals than when Jason Tatum was, shooting pretty well. And he obviously had a poor Finals all around. He didn't play his best, and he didn't have a ton of, outstanding games, unfortunately. But my point is, you feared Jaylen Brown more in that Finals, in my opinion, just based on how he was playing. And that's no disrespect to Jason Tatum. He knows he did not play well in that Finals. And again, I think we all thought Jason Tatum was the better player overall, but Jaylen Brown was the more dangerous player at that point. And that's just my opinion. I'm sure a lot of people are going to take it and disagree with me, and that's okay. It's just my opinion. So moving on to now. Throughout this playoff run, for the Celtics, Jaylen Brown has been their best player. That doesn't mean Jaylen Brown is their best player overall in terms of everything that has to do with it. But during this playoff run, especially during the last series and now, Jaylen Brown has been playing better than Jason Tatum. And Jason Tatum actually had some good games in the last series, and he put up good numbers and stuff like that. It's not like he played the way he played again in the 2022 Finals. He did not play like that. So it wasn't like Jason Tatum wasn't doing anything. So let's just get that clear. But Jaylen Brown was, in my opinion, clearly the best player in the last series. And obviously we only had one game so far, but he was obviously the better player in the game one than Jason Tatum. So I think it's fair to say throughout this entire playoff run, if you want to say Jaylen Brown has been the better player for this, set of time, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I don't think that's something that, someone will disagree, of course, but I don't think it's wrong to say that. I talked about it in the Eastern Conference Finals video. I said Jaylen Brown looks so much more polished. He clearly has worked on his game. He's not making those same mistakes that he used to. He's driving to the basket and not turning the ball over, and he's getting defensive stops. He's doing all the right things. To the argument of, is Jaylen Brown their best player overall over Jason Tatum, not just in this playoff series, but in general? That's a tough one. I'm not sure which way I would lean, because I feel like there are arguments to be made for both of them. You can make a case for either one of them, especially, again, with how Jaylen Brown has been playing and showcasing himself. So I don't really have an answer for that. I think in terms of, it's hard. I think there are ways that Jason Tatum is better than Jaylen Brown. And I think there are some ways that Jaylen Brown is better than Jason Tatum. They have some similar skill sets, but I feel like they both have specific skill sets to themselves that are better than the other one, if that makes sense. Jaylen Brown's certain things that he excels at, he does it better than Jason Tatum, but then oppositely, Jason Tatum does some things better than Jaylen Brown. For example, I think Jason Tatum is a better rebounder. I don't think there's much debate around that. Jason Tatum seems to be collecting 10 rebounds a night pretty easily nowadays, right? So I feel like it's pretty, easy to say that Jason Tatum is a better rebounder than Jaylen Brown. So that's one area where he's better than Jaylen Brown. Oppositely, and I don't have the numbers for this, so the statistics and the numbers may say otherwise. I'm not sure. But doing based on watching and eye tests and all that kind of stuff, I feel like Jaylen Brown seems to be better from like mid-range and sometimes even driving to the basket. I know that Jaylen Brown's putting up insane numbers, like finishing around the rim during this playoffs. I think he's always, he was good at that during the regular season too. And again, I don't know if Jason Tatum's numbers were technically better, like by the stats, but I feel like every time I see Jaylen Brown, pull up for a mid-range shot or go to the basket and stuff like that, I feel like he's more likely to finish and make the shot, and if it's foul, and one. I feel like there are more times we see Jason Tatum will do like a turnaround, fadeaway jumper or something, and it's a shot that he can make, but half the time he won't make it because it's not the best shot. So I guess I could say when it comes to, maybe it's shot selection. Maybe sometimes I feel like Jaylen Brown has better shot selection. Now again, that wasn't always the case, but maybe I feel like Jaylen Brown has better shot selection now. I don't know. But then also going back to Jason Tatum, although he has not been scoring as much as people want him to and not shooting the ball as well, he has been really unselfish the way that we haven't seen him been before. And some of that probably is due to the fact that he's not, shooting very well and his other teammates are. But Jason Tatum is racking up the assists as well, and he's making, good passes and stuff like that. So it's tough. Like I said, they're both doing a lot of good things. So I can't definitively say Jaylen Brown is the best player on the Celtics. What I will say is Jaylen Brown is making everybody eat their words on that $300 million contract. When he got that contract, I will be honest, I think I made a video on it, and I definitely said to him, I remember I said, get that bag, Jaylen, like definitely get your bag. So I definitely was supporting him, getting his money, of course. And if I can recall what I said in that video, because that was so long ago, I think I said something to the effect of like, if it was me, I'm not sure about the $300 million. Like I definitely thought he was worth, a bunch of money, of course. But I guess I probably said in the video, like, I wasn't sure about 300 million, but I did, like I said, get your bag, of course. So in a way, I was, kind of wrong too. Now, I wasn't going as far as some other people. I know that, because there are some people who are just like, criticizing Jaylen Brown left and right for that contract. And it wasn't like Jaylen Brown was, a minimum player, and I'm not saying people were saying that, but some people were treating his contract as if he was a minimum level caliber player, you know what I mean? So like, I wasn't on that train, but I definitely did think, based on what we had seen, 300 million, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But the Celtics knew what they had, and look what he's doing now.